that you have information or resources that may be able to help somebody, but you want to keep it to yourself. You don't want to share. And I believe that those principles, we were taught that in our neighborhood, in our communities. I'm talking about specifically, and I don't know about other cultures, but in African American culture, like you make it, and then you kind of don't want to give the information away because there's a few different reasons why. People may hate on you, people may steal from you. People may think, well, who does this person think that they are telling me what to do with my money or whatever the case may be? But I'm here to tell you, if you're of that mindset, then wealth is very, very far from you. And if you are seeking wealth, you always want to be sowing seeds constantly. And if you look back over your life and see that there are, um, you're deficient in an area, then see if you were sowing seeds in that area. And you may say, I sow seeds all the time. I give to my family. I give to this person. I give to that person. But also, you need to think too, am I sowing into good ground? Of Wealth is a Journey podcast. Guys, this is episode 139, 139 weeks of consistency, 139 weeks of getting it done. We outside. Guys, wealth as a journey is moving and shaking out here, man. We're getting more opportunities. And I say this every week, which is awesome to speak. I got two opportunities just this week. And we are moving and shaking out here. And just to think back, maybe 3 years ago, 2, 3 years ago or so, I was afraid to talk on a Zoom call. And now I'm out here speaking on Zoom calls as well as speaking in front of people. And it has been a phenomenal ride, just of God's grace and me just getting over fears. So, to all my introverts out there, man, just get out there and do it. You have a voice, you have something that other people need and need to hear. And then you can have a testimony just like mine that um, once you get over a fear, you realize that it really wasn't that bad and you didn't die. So I wanted to make sure I said that. Now, if you were a first time listener, watcher, or subscriber, thank you so much for joining us. On this podcast, we talk about faith, family, and finances, among other things. If you are a return listener, watcher, or subscriber, thank you so much for joining us again. Hopefully, we are adding value to your lives on the way to the M's, because we are 1000% on the way to the M's. And if you say, hey, Che Willis, what is the M's? M's are millions. We are on our way to millions. And how are we getting to the millions? We are getting to the millions by reducing our expenses and investing at a rapid pace. So that's exactly the way we're going to do it. So uh we're going to get started with the episode now. So if you don't know, I'm from the A, not Atlanta. I'm from Ardmore, Pennsylvania, from the A. And I have a small knit group of friends that we meet up for dinner sometimes, and or breakfast brunch, and we have a group text, and we check in on each other, happy birthdays, and we send scriptures to each other, things that just keep our spirits up. And what I'll tell you, man, is you need people like that in your life. um I got a lot of friends in Ardmore, but my friends specifically, the tight knit group, our day ones that we call ourselves, is Jared Dingle, Greg Turner, Hassan West, Joe Grant, Chaz Clark. So shout out to my guys. These guys are special to me, man. And one thing that your friends will do is remind you of things that you may have forgotten about yourself, positive things. And on this specific episode, we're going to talk about abundance mindsets. And I believe that again, you need friends that kind of remind you of kind of where you came from, different things that you may have forgotten about. And on this specific instance, I had a conversation with my guy Joe, and we were talking. I just called him on his birthday. His birthday just passed not too long ago. So shout out to my guy Joe Grant, just turned 46, and he was telling me about a story that I completely forgot about. So the story goes like this: we were at an arcade in King of Prussia Mall, and I found a wallet, and I was young, so we were super young. I think we were maybe preteens. Found this wallet in an arcade, and instead of taking the money out of the wallet and then tossing it into a trash can, I gave the wallet back. So I turned the wallet in, and I vaguely remember the story, but he remembered the story and he told me about it. And I was like, yo, I forgot all about that. But the deeper meaning of the story was that I gave the wallet back, and I could have kept it. I could have took the money and split it up against, with my friends. We could have went and got something to eat, or we could have, played more video games. But what that showed me was some principles that my mom always taught me. Um, Honesty is the best policy. She used to always tell me that, yo, always be honest and don't take things that are not yours. And I think that those principles have stuck with me throughout my life. For the most part, now I did, dabble in some things that were not necessarily the honest thing, but again, I appreciate God's grace, because if I'd have kept staying down that lane, then my life could have maybe ended up in a different way. So thankful to God for his grace. But honesty and an abundance mindset. So you may say, well, what is that? What does honesty have to do with an abundance mindset? And what is an abundance mindset? An abundance mindset is uh because you have I'm not going to be happy for you. Or that's a poverty mindset. So a poverty mindset, let me explain what that is. Poverty mindset is you see somebody else winning and you think because they're winning, it's your loss. Or you think that somebody's up, so it's your job to take something from them because you feel like they're up, you're not. I'm going to take something from them, and they'll be fine. But again, give my mom. I never gave my mom a shout out for this, but she's the one who instilled that in me. So shout out to you, mom. Barb, appreciate you. And always being a giver. Those are the two principles: being honest and being a giver. How this ties in to the abundance mindset is that if you're a giver, that means that you will always be a receiver, in my opinion. Because when I went and spoke at my church a few months ago, I believe that God gave this to me, and it was not in my notes. But when I was standing up there, I talked about it. I talked about, when we were doing our tithes and offerings, which is giving 10% back to God. That's what I believe. If you're not a believer of that, that's completely fine. But I believe that what he gave me was, in the talk, I said, if you're a giver, if you're a sower, then you will never go hungry, because the principle is you sow a seed, you reap a harvest. What's going on, family? My name is Che Willis, the medicine to your financial headache, and I help families living paycheck to paycheck live the life that they want to live through financial planning and wealth management. Did you know that the number one cause for divorce is money fights and money problems? If you are struggling financially with your spouse, you have come to the right place. We have an online course, we have a community, and we have one on one coaching that can help you live your best financial life and cut down on a lot of the money fights that you and your spouse are currently having. So if you are struggling, please make sure that you go to wealthisajourney.com to fix the issues that you guys are having currently surrounding money. A lot of us were never taught, and that's okay. But if you know that you need help, do not stay stuck. It's time to start living your best financial life with your spouse starting today. So go to wealthisajourney.com so we can start living your best financial life starting today. Let's go. You keep watering the seed, you sow a seed, you water the seed, and you reap a harvest. What that means is that if I'm constantly sowing seeds, then I'm never going to go hungry if I'm doing the right things with the money. So that story that Joe told me made me think back to me being a kid and me getting those principles instilled in me from a young age. And even though I didn't always stay on that path, those principles were always inside. And I continued to water them, and they kept growing and uh increasing the abundance in my life. So what does that mean for today? This podcast I'm doing for free. I'm giving out information that helped me in my life that can hopefully help others in their life because I'm on a journey to build wealth. Again, sowing seeds. So you may say like, well, what does that have to do with me? If you have a poverty mindset or a lack mindset, that means that you have information or resources that may be able to help somebody, but you want to keep it to yourself. You don't want to share. And I believe that those principles, we were taught that in our neighborhood, in our communities. I'm talking about specifically, and I don't know about other cultures, but in African American culture, like you make it, and then you kind of don't want to give the information away because there's a few different reasons why. People may hate on you, people may steal from you. People may think, well, who does this person think that they are telling me what to do with my money or whatever the case may be? But I'm here to tell you if you're of that mindset, then wealth is very, very far from you. And if you are seeking wealth, you always want to be sowing seeds constantly. And if you look back over your life and see that there are, um, you're deficient in an area, then see if you were sowing seeds in that area. And you may say, I sow seeds all the time. I give to my family, I give to this person, I give to that person. But also, you need to think too, am I sowing into good ground? What does that mean? If your family members or your friends are always coming to you, asking you for money, there's a reason for that. Maybe they weren't being the most fiscally responsible with their money, and they keep coming to you, and you're saying to yourself, "I always give, but I'm always broke." Are you sowing into good ground? Are you giving to people who are being fiscally responsible? Now, I understand that people are down on their luck, things of that nature, but if they're always coming to you for money, then maybe you may not be sowing in an area for you to be able to reap a harvest, or you're not being wise with your resources, which is the reason why you may be broke, or you may be there may be areas of opportunity for you to be better with your finances. And I talk to people all the time, specifically um, people who are givers, who are giving and sowing in not so good ground. Parents always have their kids coming back to them saying, "Hey, mom, dad." And I'm not saying not to give them money, but if they're always coming to you for money and they're not doing the right things with their money, that may be bad ground for you to sow in. So, what am I saying? I'm saying all this to say that there are specific principles for you to build wealth. And that story that my man told me from when we were kids reminded me of the principles that we all need to be wealthy. So, good ground for you could be an investment property. It could be the stock market. It could be a business. It could be investing in somebody else's business. That those things that you're investing in or sowing to should be good ground enough for you to be able to reap a harvest, returns. We invest for returns. We sow money into a vehicle, wherever that vehicle is going to take us, and then our hope is that we're going to get a return for our investment. Now, you may be giving to people that you may not expect the money back for or from. I'm sorry. But the thing about it is, are you sowing so they can be in a better situation? Not, hey, I blew my money. I did bad things with money. I'm coming to you for money and I'm going to blow the money that you gave me as well. And then a few weeks later, a month later, a year later, they may come back to you again. Hey, I'm down on my luck. Well, what happened to the money I just gave you? So we need to be thinking if we're in bad financial situations, like, why are we here? And do we have an abundance mindset and are we sowing seeds in good ground? Because if you are, like I said before, you will never go hungry. So is this a hype talk today? No, it's not. But a lot of these messages that we're getting on this podcast specifically are things that's going to help you as the listener, help me as well to do better with our resources. Because if we're on a financial journey, then that means we have to be better with our resources. And if we have no resources, then we need to find out why we have no resources. So therefore, we need to look back and see, what have I done with the resources that I have in my hand? And if you think back and see that you have not been fiscally responsible, just throwing money away or not setting a budget and just blowing the money or giving it away to people and then looking around and wondering why you have no money, then hopefully you'll realize that. And then now that you realize it, you can make changes. And that's what this podcast is about. It's building wealth is more about systems and saying no and things of that nature that we need to do in order to have the money to then make the money move and make it move for us to make us more money, make us money babies. So these specific things are going to help us to be better with our finances. And that's the first step in order for you to build wealth. You have to be good with the finances that you have in your hand so then you can make those finances move. And I believe that um being a good steward and sowing in the right areas is going to get you the returns that you're looking for. And once you see um the no's now, so that if that person's normally coming to you asking you for money and then you're able to tell them no, and then before you felt bad for telling them no because you felt like you were the only person to help them, 9 times out of 10 they will find another way to get exactly what they need. And you're not the only one that can help them. Now, if you're led to help them, if you get a good feeling in your spirit to go ahead and help them, that's fine. But if they continue to come to you, then you really need to evaluate the feeling that you have in your spirit because um, you're not their source. And what I do know is that people like to feel um, relied upon. It's a good feeling to be able to help somebody, especially if you're perceived to be up. But if you're helping somebody to your detriment, then it's not good. Especially if you're on a journey and they're taken away from what you're trying to do. So it's okay to say no. And no is a word that you're going to have to be comfortable with while you're on your journey. So, um, again, shout out to my guy Joe. Shout out to my mom for instilling those principles in me. But uh, if we're going to be givers, we have to sow into good ground, and we have to be honest, and then also have that abundance mindset. So as we're sowing into people, we're sowing into businesses, things of that nature, then the hope is to get a return back on your money and the resources and the time that you are sowing into other people. The lack mindset is, no, I'm going to keep all the information, I'm going to keep my resources, I'm not sowing into anything. The poverty mindset is, I'm just going to put my money under the mattress. The poverty mindset is, I'm just going to stash all my money in the bank, when that's really not going to give you a return. Now, if it's your emergency fund, completely understand. That's not there to make you rich. But if you have the money over top of your emergency fund, your 3 to 6 months, then that money should be moving. And when I say moving, I'm talking about in an investment vehicle, whichever you feel comfortable with. So, um, if you have a lack or poverty mindset, um, and then you don't know that you did, then it's up to you to evaluate where you are financially and see if you're tight with money and you never give it up, or you never sow it, or are you the person that's sowing in a bad area, or are you the person who continues to invest? Because if you are, sowing into good ground is going to get you the wealth that you are looking to build, but it does take time as well. So understand that too. But that's the episode, man. Hopefully this blesses somebody, because I talk to people all the time, and I know that that's um an area of opportunity for a lot of people, especially parents. And so make sure that we're sowing into good ground, and I believe that good things will happen as a result of that. So thank you so much for tuning in. Wealth is a journey. We will see you next week. Peace.